I've been wanting to record this video for ages. Let me rearrange my cushions in excitement. Okay, cool. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lucy Moon and today we are doing reading your assumptions about me. I'm really excited for this. I love watching this series of videos. It's a trend at the moment, they're everywhere. And I thought, you know what? I'm sure you have assumptions about me. I don't know if I want to know them, but here we are. So on Instagram stories yesterday, I asked if you could submit your assumptions about me because I want to kind of pull out the most common ones and resolve them for you. Today I have a classic tea. This is burning my fingers, holy wow. I have a classic tea in my old school mug, which is really nice. And I never drink tea anymore. Ooh, we'll get to that later. Ooh. A little bit sweet, a little bit coconutty. Anyway, so basically everyone sent in their assumptions about me and I've made a list of the ones that came up most often. I'll just show like a couple of examples of these things. There were more asked of all of these. I would say the most common assumption that came up, and I was really surprised by this one because I didn't think it was that pervasive, is that I grew up rich, I'm upper class, my parents pay my rent even came up, or like I'm spoiled basically. And I totally understand how someone can come to that conclusion. My accent is a certain way, it's quite posh, I get that. However, in the interest of transparency, I grew up in a really affluent area. I grew up in a place called Tunbridge Wells in Kent. I would argue I'm very, very much in the middle class of upbringing levels, like the middle of the middle. We had enough money to be comfortable, we went on one holiday a year. We were very happy. I never worried about money as a child. My mum was a teacher and then she was a carer for adults with very severe mental and physical health disabilities. My dad was a programmer and then a project manager. They had very normal jobs. God, I go red. This is something that I do. Whenever I'm a bit embarrassed or I'm talking about something that makes me feel uncomfortable, I go really red. So enjoy that. It feels weird to talk about affluence because obviously everything's relative. And I won't lie, at school I was surrounded by a lot of people who were more affluent than we were. So there was, you know, my perception might be distorted slightly. I've always been to schools that were publicly funded, like there was no private education. Yeah, you know, I had a very comfortable and happy upbringing, basically, financially. But I would not say that any part of me is like posh or like upper class, which also upper class is aristocracy, right? I'm definitely not aristocracy. The second assumption that came up loads is that I've got my shit together and I'm super organized. This is so factually inaccurate. Oh, I wish I could show you my room right now. It's an absolute state. I mess, like everything is just mess constantly. Even though I feel like I work really hard to try and keep it together, stuff doesn't stay together. In terms of having my shit together, I think a couple of people said this as well, like you seem to have your shit together more than you did. Definitely true. I think that's just a case of growing up. I've been practicing all the little techniques that I use to get my shit together for the past nearly 3 years. Oh my God. I've been a YouTuber for 2.5 years now. It's good to see that I have made some progress, but I wouldn't say like it comes naturally to me at all because it really doesn't. An assumption that came up loads and loads was that I read a lot. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I read 12 books a year every year that we did Banging Book Club, and then I read uni stuff and I don't really read very much. I'm really trying. I've just started reading Becoming by Michelle Obama, which I got for Christmas. I love books themselves. Like I have loads of cookbooks and loads of books that you pick through and coffee table books. I just don't find time to read and I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but also I think it's really interesting how lots of people online have this image of me being this kind of like closed, kind of like quiet bookworm when I'm just not that guy. Like fully not. Next assumption, you're still struggling with alcohol. Yes, I think alcohol is always going to be my Achilles heel and a constant process that I'm going through to try and improve my relationship. It's always going to be hard. I'm never going to reach a point where I'm like, oh, I'm better now. That's great. But it's an ongoing process and I respect that and I am constantly working on it, basically. I choose not to share it at the moment just because I become very vulnerable. It's like opening my gates basically and saying, you know, here's me very raw. And the more you open your gates, the more you let people in to give their thoughts. For me right now, to keep me sane and happy and well, my gates are like kind of semi-shut. I hope that makes some sense. A lot of assumptions, whether I'm an introvert, I would say they're incorrect. I've always been an extrovert pretty much, but I really love my alone time. So I guess I'm an ambivert in that sense. I will happily spend all day not speaking to anyone, but I need to go and speak to loads of people at once. I prefer to work on my own. I really enjoy the fact that my job is very independent. I really do like having alone time, but then I really gain a lot of energy from social situations. This was a really funny one. This came up loads. There was this complete split between you are lazy and have no work ethic and you work really, really hard, or you have a really strong work ethic. I'd say both are true. I got people being like, you literally don't work at all. And that was frustrating because I think that comes from maybe a place of slight ignorance as to how much work it takes to be a YouTuber. If you don't work, you lose your following. It's just that simple. People work very hard to get where they are. I hope that that shows in the content we make as well and the way that we commit to our audiences. Don't get me wrong, my job is nowhere near as hard as a lot of other people's jobs. I could never be a nurse. I could never be a teacher. I would find that incredibly demanding and stressful and difficult. However, there's a different set of challenges, I think, and you are working the same amount. It's just in different ways. Like, I work a lot of evenings, I work a lot of weekends. It is what it is, as much as I try and give myself time off. I personally think I have a strong work ethic, but I think there's a lot of other dynamics that make it harder for me to work sometimes. I'm very influenced by my environment, and if I feel suffocated, or if my room is super messy or my environment's super messy, I will feel very stifled and like I have to complete all those tasks first before I can like move forward. But stuff gets done, you know, like I can procrastinate a little bit, but like shit gets done. Something that came up a couple of times is that I'm very sensitive and easily offended. Totally get why people might think that. I do talk a lot about the very small but very strong negative side of the commentary I get, because I want people to understand, like, it's not just being like blanket praised every day. There is some stuff that cuts you really deep, and I actually think that one comment that's very critical of you that has 100 upvotes overshadows 100 comments that are really positive. There's some criticism that's just like super valid and super I can take on board really easily, and some that is, I would say, mean. It's like when someone says no offense but da 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 da. It can be very sarcastic, it can be very rude, it can be very judgy, and that's the stuff that I find really hard, especially if it hits on an insecurity of mine. But I think that's important to like be transparent about. I'm not sitting here and being like, oh, I've got super thick skin, because I don't. I want you to know, if you leave those comments, I read them and they really get to me. I'd also like to say it's every woman on this platform gets it like really badly, and especially women who are honest and very public online or share anything about their lifestyle. It is not just me, and that actually brings me some kind of comfort, because I do feel like with the women on this platform, we all go through it together. It's why loads of your favorite Instagrammers won't start YouTube. But there were definitely points where I thought, I don't know why I do this job, because it's just so hard to deal with very personal criticism from people who think they know you really well. You just learn to deal with it better. Like, it doesn't eat up at me every day anymore. Another assumption, this is quite a series of negative ones, but there's like a couple of more positive ones coming, or like more like neutral ones. You're a bit lost in your career. I actually don't feel that at all. I felt way more lost when I started YouTube than where I'm at now. I feel like I've got this like whole load of energy back and oomph, and I really feel like driven. And I think obviously that has lapses, and I think for a little while I felt very jaded about the fact that I was trying so hard and didn't feel like I was getting as much out of it, or I wasn't giving you guys the best thing I could give, basically. But now I'm in a really good place with it and I'm really enjoying it. A couple of other assumptions were like, oh, you don't want to do any of the other stuff, you don't want to like have a bigger project. And someone said, oh, you rejected a book deal. I've had conversations about some of those bigger projects, and for me at the time, or me in that place, it wasn't the right thing. I'm just turned 24, like I've got a little bit of energy and a bit of time, and I don't have to rush into something because I see my friends doing it or because I see other people doing it. I think there's this presumption that there's this kind of success story model for influencers at the moment who are like creator influencers. You do 2 years on the platform and then you get a book or release music or you present radio and you climb your way up to this real like entertainment. It is so valid, like, to do all those things. I hopefully one day will do some of those things, but I think like loads of people are super happy just on this level, like me. My God, we're not even halfway through the assumptions. Holy crap. Another assumption was you only make ethical choices because they're fashionable. And this came up a whole bunch in different ways, different wording. A lot of people being like, oh, you want to be a vegan, but like you actually don't have the willpower and stuff like that. Not really. I was brought up a Quaker, if you don't know that. Yeah, that's a fun fact about me. And the Quakers really believe in faith and action. So you can do all the praying you want, but like you need to put what you're feeling into action and your morals into action. I've been brought up around that mentality, and I think that really resonates with me. and has done my whole life. I kind of eased into cruelty-free stuff really because when I was 15, I started boycotting L'Oreal, and that just kind of stepped up and up and up until I was cruelty-free. I've become really aware of my plastic consumption recently and my single-use plastics. There's like a bunch of lifestyle things that I try and do, and I like being able to talk about them. But I do feel there's this strange mentality, and it happened when there was that first wave of like vegan creators as well, where there was this like militant attitude. I don't think the majority of people who care about sustainability are militant at all, but I find that there is a lot of pressure on people to change their lifestyle like that. I'm never going to be that guy, and I think the best thing I can do is just talk about the small changes that I make. And a lot of people see that as me buying into trend and fashion and like doing it because it looks cool, but to be honest, if I could avoid the kind of shit I get every time I talk about sustainability, I would not talk about it anymore. It would be much easier for me. The bigger thing is showing people how you can take small steps in your lifestyle to make bigger changes, how you can put pressure on companies, how you can do boycotting, how you can reduce your single-use plastics. And if I make that look really normal to people and unintimidating, that's the best thing I can do. There are loads of really good sustainable influencers. I'm not a sustainability influencer. I've just grown up with these kind of things in my life, and I just want to try and better it very slowly, and that's me. I am just trying to do my best, basically. And I can understand, because there's a current trend of being like, I'm ethical, I'm sustainable, where people would think I was jumping on a bandwagon. Like, I get why you might think that. Another assumption is you are very hard on yourself. I am quite hard on myself, but I've worked a lot on not being hard on myself. I actually mentioned it in quite a few other videos, like that process I've been through therapy to try and stop being like this good girl that wants to please everyone and wants to be great and perfect and push themselves too far every single time. I'm sure that's been spoken about more. I can hear a helicopter. A couple of assumptions were that you're different offline versus on camera in various ways. I think someone said like, oh, your humor's different. Obviously, you can't convey your whole life and personality on the internet. That's not possible. That's why we have real complexes about Instagram and it being a highlight reel. But I do think I'm very true to life on the internet, and part of that is because I've been on here so long. You'd know if I'd like suddenly done a 180. I value authenticity online so much. So I hope I come across exactly as I am in person. I don't know if I do, but I hope I do. My hair looks like I've just walked through a bush. I'm so sorry. The next one's quite a weird one, but quite a few people assumed I either don't like weed or I don't smoke weed. And that's very true. And I don't know how you would have got that impression, but it's very true. It's not my thing. And that's cool. You associate yourself with LGBTQ plus people to look cool / you secretly wish you were LGBTQ plus. That's a really weird, I don't know. Again, I think because so much of my life has been on the internet, I think you'd know if I was doing that. Like if I was purposefully presenting friendships online to seem cool, kind of like gay baiting. I met my group of like girl gang friends that I'm really close with at the moment. If you see them on like my stories and my 168 hours, I met them in May last year. We just gelled like instantly. We get along so well, and it just so happens 3 of them are gay women. That's just something that's never really why would that factor into a friendship? I don't know. Why is this a thing I'm answering? Another assumption, I'm emotionally led. That is very true. I am very emotionally led. What's my gut feeling? I'm a Pisces. This was a weird one. Quite a few people said you're sexually promiscuous / freaky in bed. I've never been promiscuous. Not that that's anyone's business really. And also, what is promiscuity really? Like, it's a construct to keep women in boxes. One of the final assumptions is that I'm very cautious about what I say online, and that's very true as well. I love talking about sex, but I'm never going to talk about my own sex life. I hope that's good. I think sex is like such a personal thing. But I love that people think I'm really freaky. I really enjoy that as like a thought people might have. You wish you had a different job. We've kind of covered that. No, I don't wish I had a different job. I have had moments where I've been like, why do I do this? This is really stressful for me. But it's never been a long time. Like it might be like I'm hormonal and it's one afternoon and I'm like, oh my god, why do I do my job? In the same way I'm sure so many other people have those feelings too. I love my job. My job is one of the best jobs I could have asked for. Next assumption is you're pretty chilled out personality wise. I think I'm super chilled out, but I'm also like anxious. So I'm chilled out in terms of like, yeah, whatever you want, whatever goes. But I'm also like harboring severe anxiety, maybe like 25% of the time. That used to be a strong 75. Next assumption, you love tea and coffee. I do. I haven't really been into tea for the past 2 years though. I think I'm way more of a coffee person. I really like coffee. The next one is you want to be seen as edgy and trendy. This came up in everything from sustainability to fashion to ethics to whatever else, to even like my Instagram stories. So I have this theory. I don't think you can make yourself cool. I think cool people are just cool. I don't always think of like the people who don't try at all are cool. I think all the Gartland, super fucking cool. I don't think you can like dress a certain way and be cool. It's the people that don't try at all. So in that sense, no, I'm not trying. And in terms of how I dress and my style, I think I've always been a little bit on that like indie cool spectrum, but I wouldn't say I'm very good at it. This is just how I enjoy dressing and how I enjoy presenting myself. I just actively enjoy style and fashion and experimenting and trying things, I guess. The next one's very low-key. You are a cat person. I'm a cat and a dog person, I think. I love cats and I love dogs, so I'm kind of in the middle. I'm partial. I don't have a particular preference. And then that's it. That's it. I'm done. Oh my god, that's taken so long. Thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope I've answered your assumption. If I haven't, maybe don't leave them in the comments. I think I'm good. I've read a strong maybe 300 of them today. And I hope it's answered some of your questions as well, if you've ever wondered about those things. All in the name of transparency. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. You can subscribe somewhere around here. And yeah, thanks. I will see you in my next video.